Hey, it's Danella, and here's what's happening now. Please bear with me this week because it's audio only. Why? Because I had the amazing opportunity to interview Dr. Chanda Macias. She is a scientist who has spent years studying the medicinal qualities of cannabis. When I tell you this is one of my most enlightening interviews I have done, she not only has shared information on the medicinal qualities of cannabis, but also how the government has been using the plant as a pipeline to prison in our inner cities. Through her work, she is spreading the light, she is educating people, and she is changing lives. Again, I learned so much in interviewing Dr. Macias. So please stick around. I'd love to hear what you know and how you found this interview. Feel free to comment below. And without further ado, here's Dr. Macias with Adverse Reaction.
We interrupt your regularly scheduled talk show. It's time for something new.
Adverse reaction.
Adverse reaction.
Adverse reaction.
Adverse reaction.
Y'all ready? Open up your mind, let your conscience free. Adverse reaction is the voice of the streets.
With Big Zoe.
Big Zoe in the house.
Curators, don't duplicate us.
Danella, Sila, Vinyl.
Danella's in the house.
Still here, never left. Still making snacks. And Aladdin.
Wish, make a heartbreaker, long hair, mother lover.
It's a movement. Weeknights, 7 p.m. on WOL.
WOL 1450 AM.
95.9 FM.
Where information is power.
Well, tonight we're going to delve into the world of cannabis, all right? Guiding us on this journey is Dr. Chanda Macias. Dr. Macias is a CEO and the owner of National HolisticTM, a cannabis and hemp healthcare enterprise in Washington, D.C. Listen, she got her MBA from Rutgers University. She got her PhD in cellular biology from Howard University. Ain't that right? She also serves on the board of directors for National Cannabis Roundtable and the Minority Cannabis Business Association. Now, locally, she is the treasurer and secretary of DC Medical Cannabis Trade Association. So, reactors, get your questions ready. Dr. Macias comes highly accredited.
She is an MBA, PhD, CEO and owner of National HolisticTM, a cannabis and hemp healthcare enterprise. National Holistic Healing Center is the leading medical marijuana dispensary in D.C. She is also the president of National Holistic Healthcare, which was one of the 2 cultivating processing facilities in the state of Louisiana. Dr. Chanda is the chairwoman of the board of managers and CEO for Women Grow, with a national educational reach impacting over 500,000 people and patients. I don't know if you heard me when I said that.
Wow, now I heard you.
Okay, just in case.
Say it one more time.
500,000 people and patients.
It's amazing.
Dr. Chanda serves on National Cannabis Roundtable Board, which is chaired by, I'm sure you know about this, the Speaker of the House, Representative John Boehner.
Former.
Remember that guy.
Remember that
Former.
guy.
Glad he's gone. We need to get the other one out of here. NCR promotes common sense, federal regulation, tax equity, and financial services reform, and supports changing federal law to acknowledge states' rights to regulate and manage cannabis policy while adding momentum to criminal justice reform.
All right, reactors, get ready. You got questions about regulations. You got questions about what is this whole cannabis legal marijuana about? Now is your chance to call in as the doctor is in the house.
The doctor is here. Dr. Chanda?
Yes, I'm here. It's such a pleasure to be able to speak with you today.
Thank you for joining us this evening. Again, reactors, if you want to call in, 1-800-450-7876. That's our number. You can talk live. First, can you tell us, how did you get into the industry?
That's a great question. I get it all the time, but for those that don't know, I'm a 2-time Howard University graduate.
Ain't you?
And,
Yes.
And I studied cancer while I was there. I did, while I was an undergraduate, I studied the BRCA1 gene in breast cancer because it was an aggressive gene that we found in African American women. And then when I decided to do my dissertation work, I had to focus on my community again, and I looked at prostate cancer metastasis to bone in our community. And so as I was doing all this cancer research at Howard, I came about, there's an alternate form of therapeutic medicine available, which was cannabis. And I brought this to my advisors at the time, and they said, well, do you want to go to prison first and foremost because you're an African-American woman and, our community is targeted with the war on drugs? And I said, I don't want to be locked up. So we decided that I would focus on other aspects of my dissertation work. And so when cannabis actually started to legalize state by state, and the momentum was picking up. The first market that opened up on the East Coast was in Washington, D.C. So by that time, I had picked up my MBA in supply chain management with the emphasis on operational analysis, and I decided that I would write my application for a medical marijuana dispensary. What was very interesting at the time, with less than 10 states legalized, period, medical or otherwise, my family was staunchly against it because I have 4 children. I guess, again, were African American of Latino descent, and they were like, do you want to target your children, or 1, or 2, be targeted yourself? And I decided that protecting the patients and being able to be an advocate for them was more important, especially for my community, than to ignore the challenges of entering it.
Wow. That takes guts.
It does take guts. And I was wondering, because we talk about it on our show a lot, because we hear it from different places where you might see in some areas they say, well, the weed dealers have had to switch careers. And so we talk about like how has medical marijuana affected the area. But one of the things that we say a lot is at one point it was considered like criminal innocence, and people would look negative at you, like you sell marijuana, like you a riffraff in some type of a way. Yeah. And so I was curious how, your family and friends perceived what you were doing, because the truth is you're looking at an alternative form of medicine with less
stigma. Negative stigma.
It had a negative stigma, but less. I guess reactions, less adverse reactions when you take marijuana.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Where people are taking, like, for example, Oxycontin, and then all of a sudden they're addicted. All of a sudden, they have other health issues related. And so it's interesting that medically speaking, you were doing something good. And I was just wondering, like, what were the streets saying to you?
Oh, it was insane. So it was very hard, first of all, to decide that I was going to enter the industry, because when you own a dispensary or any plant-touching business, you pretty much have to sign papers saying that you subjugate yourself to federal prosecution. And as, again, a Black woman with 4 children, it was hard for me to make that decision to, 1, enter, and then 2, the reaction from my colleagues. And you can imagine at 10 states, it wasn't very popular for people to enter in the industry at that time. And especially for myself, as a scientist, as worked in corporate America, I launched $2 billion brands through Colgate-Palmolive Company. I have numerous scientific articles. I have 10 world patents, 2 U.S. patents. I've trained over 2,500 STEM students in my academic career. And then they look at me and said, but you want to sell marijuana now?
Yeah.
And I was
after that, it's like you went to the moon and you want to just drive a Uber.
And, you know, it what really propelled me is because, one, there's less than 4% ownership of plant-touching businesses that are owned by Black people, period. Women, men, period. And so and when I say 4%, that's under about 20 businesses when you look at the scope of it. It's really this nominal number.
Wow.
And when I realized that we're missing the opportunity to jump into an industry that can positively impact us economically in our future generations, but yet still deliver health care benefits, to me, it did not matter. I had to become part of it, for one, that I can deliver health care benefits, but it got a little deeper. And the deepness comes with my activism. I had to find a way to be a voice to stop the communities or the policymakers and legislators from criminalizing our community.
Yes.
Possession charges, creating a pipeline to prison for just using medicine in 2019, even today, that it has so impact our community. If we don't start this reform now, it will be another 400 years, like slavery has impacted us, to get out of this. And enough is enough. It's time for reform. And it's time to stop targeting vulnerable populations that didn't have a voice in regulatory and legislative forums to stop our people from being, one, stigmatized, targeted, and creating a pipeline to prison. I'm sorry. I got a little passionate.
Yeah,
No, we with you.
No, we all the way with you. We like, whoa.
This is
because it's so true.
And this is what we
see
talk
it.
about. We see this. We talk about this. You are preaching to the choir. We are with you on this. I want to ask you, because you had brought up that you said health benefits, and I made a note for that because we have some of our reactors are all different ages, right? And so depending on where you are on that spectrum, you see this as, a great alternative medicine. But if you're on another part of that spectrum, you see this as like grass and like reefer that is just going to make somebody smoke and eat and Shaggy from what was that? Scooby-Doo.
Scooby-Doo, yeah.
Yeah, from Scooby-Doo. So I want to talk about...
You can tell she old too, right? She talking about Shaggy from Scooby-Doo.
Shaggy is on Scooby-Doo. You know they bring Scooby-Doo back for the record.
Okay, we let you
All right,
guys.
the mystery van is in a current Target commercial. I'll have you know. All right. Okay. But I also have a small child, so these things are on.
Right.
Okay, so I want to talk about some of the health benefits that you've discovered in your, 15 plus years of research now?
Yeah, definitely. So when I entered the industry, I really wanted to focus of looking at the medicine itself. So when I learned the medical benefits of cannabis based upon the components of the plant itself, I started to focus on different strains and aligning them with specific ailments. And then after I was able to take certain strains and align them with ailments, I also focus on the different forms that people should use. And so, again, I've seen tens of thousands of patients at this time. In our dispensary, National Holistic Healing Center in Washington, D.C., we're able to we see about 250 patients a day. And what's so interesting about that is that due to the medical benefits we've been delivering, the Department of Health has allowed us to see patients from 17 different states now because we have a proven track record of the health benefits. Now, I wish I can say that it's considered research because it is illegal, though, to research cannabis. If I were to say that, I can actually be in prison for it because I don't have a Schedule I license.
Yes,
I understand.
Cannabis.
Wow.
But what I can tell you is that I have over 4 years of aggregated data based upon my patients and their medical outcomes to tell you that cannabis is medicine and it works. And I have seen it. I have seen it in cancer patients, epilepsy patients, but more, even if I bring down the elements, meaning insomnia, anxiety, PTSD, autism, I've seen the spectrum. Now, not all cannabis works on all conditions.
Right.
So individualized healthcare is very important to be able to specify what's important for your condition. And then the second aspect of that is that I can't just give you any type of cannabis form. If you are a parent and you have a child in your house, in your home, smoking a flower or vaporizing a flower or even using oil cartridges that leave some type of vapor in the air, I don't recommend. But if you have a tincture that you could drop underneath your tongue, which is the liquid form, or put it in your water bottle or in your tea and you consume it, it's more appropriate for your lifestyle. And so we really think about aligning the form of medication with a person's lifestyle along with the strain. So I give you an example of MS patients that have these episodes of involuntary muscle spasms. I need a delivery, though, that's going to be immediate. And so oil cartridges, when you inhale them, they have a delivery of about 30 seconds. And that's why they can stop the involuntary muscle spasms that happen in your body and cease the pain. But that's different from someone with chronic pain.
Wait. You say that so normally. This sound crazy to me. So you're saying that if somebody's about to have an epileptic seizure, they can inhale the oil. They can inhale it and it can stop. Are you saying that it would stop these spasms?
Yes.
What?
Within 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Within 30 seconds.
Because it hits your bloodstream so quick.
I'm so used to saying that.
Wow, I know you're saying it.
But this is what I see every day.
Today is Wednesday.
So you can see what's happening in the studio. You're super nonchalant. I'm shocked as, hell. Zoe's like pointing at me like, I've been telling you, see? And I'm just like, wait, you gotta slow down, Doc, slow down. Because for people who don't know, that's mind blowing. For people who don't know.
It's major.
That's a major game changer.
It's a major game changer if you have an anxiety attack. In 30 seconds, you can stop it.
What?
It is a major game changer. If any fast and rapid onset of any type of ailment, I can stop it. My women, when they have even menstrual cramps and it's like a spike comes out of nowhere, pulling from an oil cartridge in 30 seconds, it just subsides all the pain. Lupus, fibromyalgia. Again, I have to align you with a proper strain, but the delivery mechanism takes fat in the oil cartridge for within 30 seconds and give you about 2 hours of coverage just from one pull.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's not including PTSD, like the guys that's still, been in prison, been in war.
And having a reaction,
been on the
having a
streets.
traumatic reaction. Yes.
Just have an episode and they just relive something and then
it
brings them down.
It brings them down. Can I ask you, how is it used with cancer patients? Besides, because my knowledge of that is like old school, increases their appetite, but what are the medicinal benefits?
So what's interesting is that everyone wants to group cancer patients together.
That's true.
And as I told you, they're all,
different types.
So different cancers require different types of treatments. And then it also focuses on what kind of treatments are the patients using. For example, if I think about a brain tumor needs little THC and more CBD. So CBD is the non-intoxicating aspect of the cannabis flower that is what's legal today through the Farm Bill. And what is CBD? It reduces inflammation, reduces pain. It actually focuses on just anxiety relief. And with those three factors, but we see a high concentration of that. We've seen brain tumors diminish in a treatment spectrum of about 4 weeks. Now, if I focus on a different type of cancer, for example, let me go back to the breast cancer. I've seen with high THC levels in something called RSO, which is a Rick Simpson oil. It's a high THC, little CBD, but I've seen tumors in the breast diminish. The densities just completely diminish. And so when I see those reversal of effects, it is a very calculated effect because I'm looking with the patient and also working indirectly with their doctors. And so treating those patients based upon their specific needs, it's very important. And that's how I focus, and that's why we've grown so rapidly in this industry, because we're truly taking on a healthcare approach to treating patients.
Okay.
1-800-450-7876, 1-800-450-7876. If you would like to talk to Dr. Chanda, I'm actually mad at her right now because I really am upset with you because before I can even ask a question, you answer it like you can read my mind. I'm like, you are reading my mind you're answering every question.
Got me on that CBD.
The
You got me on,
and
you
got me on all
I wanted to know about
five.
the cancer. Okay.
But that's how
amazing.
informative and educated you are on the subject. And not only are you a doctor, you are also a businesswoman. You're in the boardroom. How are your relationships with other doctors that don't agree with the methodology?
We actually debate a lot. The problem is that a lot of doctors are not knowledgeable about cannabis. There's less than 9 medical schools in the whole United States that actually educate on something we call the endocannabinoid system, and that's the system that we use to process and metabolize cannabis to help healthcare conditions. And so because we haven't been educated on the benefits of cannabis, it's really hard for them to say, well, we recommend it. And so with that platform, I don't debate, I educate.
Yes.
And as you know, that as a PhD doctor, we focus on the biomedical research, which is implemented by a physician. So in the scope or in the hierarchy, I have to educate them on how to treat a patient. And once I have done that education, some of them will decide to continue on with that work, and some of them won't. And the reasons why I found after you educate a physician on the benefits of cannabis that they will not recommend it is because of their liability insurance, or also they're receiving Medicaid or Medicare subsidies for their patients, which is federal funding, which if they're recommending cannabis, a legal substance, they can lose their funding that way. So it's really not about them not wanting to participate in the health care of cannabis. It's them feeling that it will impact their I'm going to say their money. At the end result, that it will impact their financial benefits that they receive from the federal government. You cannot receive federal funding and work in cannabis, period.
It's crazy. But you can
the kickbacks
out a big farm. What is it? Purdue Pharma. Doctors can pass out Purdue Pharma, get people strung out on drugs, entire families. But you can't talk about cannabis, right? 1-800-450-7876. That's our number. We have a caller on the line. Who is it? Jazz. Oh, Grace. Hi, Grace. You're on the line with Dr. Oh, we just lost Grace. Poor Grace. I think she disconnected. Grace, if you're still listening, you can call us back. We'll get right back to you. That's crazy to me that it makes total sense that doctors have to look out for their insurance.
Yeah.
But it's just
But they
crazy
also, like you
can't
said,
get
they're also in business with, you know,
the drug companies.
I mean, with both the federal government and the pharma.
All right, we have Grace. She's back on the line. Grace, you're on with Dr. Macia.
Hi.
Hi, Grace.
I have multiple sclerosis, and I'm listening to you, and I wondered how I should think about using the marijuana. They have that don't have THC. That's hard to figure out. Should I use one that has THC?
Yeah.
Is that the difference?
So, yes, multiple sclerosis patients, one, I would ask you at what stage are you on? Am I going through a early intervention, or am I dealing with someone with lesions in their eyes? So it kind of gives me a gauge of where you are in your process. Are you taking chemo for your MS? These are some of the questions that I would ask you, because I would need to find a strain that meets your condition. And there's different strains that I would use at different stages in your prognosis. So, for example, if you were at a late stage and you did have problems with your vision, but you still experienced very tense spasmic pain, I would focus on a strain that would help you with that pressure in your eyes and alleviate some of that pain that you get from the eyesight, but also would systemically help relieve your muscles by relaxing them. So I know that a lot of my patients have something we refer to as the MS hug, which just tightens your whole torso. But within a 30-second oil cartridge, you would feel the difference immediately. You would feel the strain actually work on your body systemically. Now, Grace, the other thing I need to talk to you about is that usually my MS patients also experience depression because they're in so much pain day to day, they really don't have a quality of life. And some of the steroids that you're on as well will impact, weight gain, et cetera. So we have also strains that will help you with depression. So when I treat a patient, it's not usually just one condition like MS. It's usually multiple symptoms like depression along with MS. So I would use a strain that will help relax the body, one, but two, give you an uplift in the head so that you can smile and you can be happy again. And so those are strains we call hybrids. And I would focus on that so you could have that pleasure and that quality of life again. So those are, for example, some of the things that I would have to have those conversations to find out what is the best form of medicine for you. Another thing I would have to talk to you about is your employment. Are you a federal employee? If you are or not, if you are an entrepreneur, for example, and a real estate agent, or you're an accountant, self-employed, you don't really have too many risks that are involved with using cannabis in terms of random drug testing. But unfortunately, like the federal government, if your particular branch does random drug testing, this could be an issue for you. So I need to be able to explain to you all the issues that are attributed to you using cannabis. When it comes down to it, though, most people feel like they've been robbed of their life and they want to replenish that quality of life that they have, and they're willing to even change their employment just so that they can be happy and have a life again. So that's just my reality when I work with patients.
Grace, thank you so much for calling. We hope that's helpful. Dr. Macias, is there any way you can give information for any of our callers like Grace that would want to contact you or your industry in the sense of like coming in and getting some help?
Oh, definitely. We take in walk-ins. We're open 7 days a week at the National Holistic Healing Center. Our website is nationalholistic.com, but we're open 7 days a week from 11 to 7:30 every day. We're located in DuPont Circle, Washington, D.C., and we make ourselves available around the clock, 7 days a week, because we know health care is important, and pharmacies don't shut down, so neither do we.
Whoa, and don't forget about the Women Grow 2019 Summit, the Leadership Summit. That's this weekend.
Yes, that is this weekend. We have, because less than 26% women in the country represent any form of participation in the cannabis world, Women Grow represents those women, and we help propel them into positions in becoming the future generations of cannabis leaders. And so our summit is at the Washington Court Hotel in Washington, D.C. It's on Friday and Saturday, the 7th and 8th. We have some of the top multi-state operators coming in, holding different workshops and also doing career fairs for those that are in attendance. It is available for women and men, but we definitely have a special place for our women to help their voices elevate in the cannabis industry.
Okay, Dr. Chanda, I have another question for you. Now, if you're speaking to, say, a senior, elderly person who's also religious, how do you, and I know you're an educator and informer, not necessarily a convincer, but what advice would you to open them up to even the possibilities of trying
This kind of treatment, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I had the blessing of being able to speak to the congregation of the largest Black church in New York, Emmanuel Baptist Church. I was able to go in the pulpit because, first and foremost, if you know me, I'm a God-fearing woman. And so I don't disguise that it is what it is. And then the second thing is that my own family members have been adversely opposed to using cannabis until I did educate and ask them for an opportunity to see if, in fact, it can reverse some of the conditions that they were dealing with. And then after, I would say, usually a 3-day trial, it's hard because they exhibit something called patient remorse. They see how incredibly their life has changed after using the cannabis plant after 3 days. And then they sit there and they're like, why have I been lied to? Why have I been denied access to health care in this way? And then they say, if I had this plant 5 years ago, how could my life been so different? And this is the pain that I deal with every day, because this is the remorse of the patients when they come in. And they're upset and they're hurt that the government didn't give them the opportunity to heal the way they should have.
And put people in jail for this for years.
Oh,
In jail for this for years. I just
still do it.
I
Still put us in
cannot.
jail.
I wish we had even more time to have you on, because even just this short amount of time, you have opened even my mind up. And I can't imagine some of the people who were firmly against this, but to hear the research, to hear how people, the information of how people are really not only getting healed in some cases, but just having a better quality of life without being addicts.
Right. Or the side effects.
Yeah, or the side effects.
No, but what's more important here is that they took a medicine, and because African Americans didn't have a voice, or we didn't have the resources to be able to defend ourselves, they created a pipeline to prison. So, in fact, they can fund federal prisons. They were making money because they targeted our population. And now the masses realize that this is in fact a medicine, and that's why it's legalizing. And now it has been exposed that this was never about it being illegal because of health care, but in fact it served as the tool to put minority populations in prison. And now it's time for reform.
Now, another question for you. What when hemp was first outlawed, why? Why was it first outlawed from the beginning?
Hemp and cannabis are sister plants. It's because, again, it was a medicine that we used. You have to understand, historically, we haven't had the jobs and the opportunities that white counterparts have had. So where they had benefits and they could get health care through their benefits, we had to decide on what health care looked like to us. And that's when the cannabis plant came into our community, because we saw the healthcare benefits without going to the prescription drugs, because we didn't have access to that. And that's the target they used against us. So again, it was used as a mechanism because they knew that we didn't have the ability to get proper health care, but they could imprison us and fund their private prisons. And that's exactly what they did. But not only that, they're targeting more vulnerable populations today. If you're an immigrant and you work in the cannabis industry and you're a permanent resident, they will deport you. There's no question about it. You think about people who are using cannabis in public housing, and they find out that you're using a quote-unquote illegal drug, they're kicking you out of your home and your children. Mm-hmm. If you think about parents that have children suffering from epilepsy that can't barely afford to use cannabis, they're using those, taking their kids away to put them in different detention foster homes in the system to keep it going while they're not focusing on the health care. We don't have a voice because we have never had the power. And now that we're getting momentum because we realize what's happening, they're targeting other populations. And the most vulnerable we see is how they have treated our veterans. Our veterans die. 22 veterans a day die because of suicide. And we know that we have different treatments for different populations. And let me tell you, my veterans, they come in there and they'll say, I have tried to commit suicide twice. If I do it again, I'm going to be successful. Please help me save my life.
Wow. Dr. Chanda.
This is the stuff we're dealing with.
I mean, we got to have you back. We got to wrap up. We don't want to let you go, but we're going to have to get you back. I mean, just the information that you gave out, how you have impacted, like Danella said,
it's life-changing.
Yeah.
Like it's like you said, you said you don't persuade or debate, you educate. You don't debate, you educate. Yeah. Clearly that's what you do. We want to wish you well in your endeavors. If anything we can do to help you along the way, let us know. We definitely would love to have you back and shed more light for our listeners. God
bless you.
Yes, God bless you on your journey. Keep you and your family safe and blessed.
Amen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure. A pleasure. Again, that was Dr. Chanda Macias. I cannot believe this, Zoe. This was a life changer to me. Like, she has completely changed my mind in a lot of ways that I saw cannabis, specifically even explaining what is CBD versus THC.
Right.
And you can see, especially if you're somebody that shops in like a grocery store or organic store, you're seeing CBD all over the place. And you're like, well, what is this? What is this from
it's
government?
It's popping up everywhere.
What is happening?
It's popping up everywhere. You go to get some gas, man.
Get some gases there. But even to hear the differences, okay, if you want relief and anxiety or pain without feeling high, that's what that CBD will do.
Now you got to be careful about that. I don't think she got a chance to
didn't get a chance
get into that.
about it.
But the CBD, you can't just get it from anywhere. I mean, it's sold almost everywhere now.
It is.
But because of that farm bill that passed, it's like it's wide open. It's the new trendy.
Regulating that. Yeah.
It's not being regulated. So be very careful where you get it from. You want to get it from established places. Like, if you got one of those cars that you putting real good gas in, you need to put real good CBD
premium
in your body. You know what I'm saying? So you go to the right place. You're not going to any gas station, do you?
Right. Well, depending on who you are.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
So if you care, you should care about that too.
Wow. So we hope, guys, reactors, we hope this has been helpful for you guys in some type of way. Man, this was shocking.
Dr. Chanda was heavy, and she was like, I'm sorry, I don't mean to get heavy. I'm like, no, come on, we down with the heavy.
We are down with the heavy, and she brought a lot that, man, you could 30 seconds to stop an epileptic seizure.
Yeah. See, she like the education. We like debate, but we like to
we like to debate. Yeah,
we like to
educate, don't debate.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh gosh, guys, thank you so much for joining us again tonight. We're on weekdays from 7 to 8 p.m. Zoe, what's our Instagram? Trick question. Adverse reaction on air. Yo, slow clap for Zoe. Finally nice. Knows his Instagram. I'm at DanellaNOW. Hey guys, have a blessed evening, and we'll see you tomorrow night.
Adverse reaction. It's a movement.